So I noticed that there were a couple of people waiting for me. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. So Sedriques Dumas versus what do you call him? Michal Oleksiejczuk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name properly. Let's get into that particular fight. Hopefully, I'm actually doing this on the right stream because I just entered a stream and I didn't check the names of the people, but I think it's the right one. So, um, this one is going to be a little bit tricky. I think there are a lot of tricky fights on this particular card. Um, however, however, it's going to be a little bit interesting to basically see how this fight plays out because I feel like both of them have their advantages and both of them have their disadvantages. So, for example, I think Sedriques Dumas is very good defensively. I think even though he's not the most technical striker, I understand that, but I still feel like he is able to actually get or rather avoid getting in bad situations in terms of striking exchanges. So I think that's going to play significantly in his favor, especially in a fight against Michal Oleksiejczuk, who gets hit a lot. And I know a lot of people are going to make the argument that, well, this guy is, what do you call him? This guy fought the people like Shara Magomedov and Kevin Holland, and even though he lost, he has faced better competition, which is a very solid argument to be honest. Don't forget, Duma's best win is Cody freaking Brundage, while Mitchell lost to good competition such as Holland and Magomed etc. Um, Twizy Rich said hi. Wow, that's a neat way to put it. So I understand what people are saying, right? But at one point, do we overvalue the accolades of someone who has been at the top over someone who has potential? Because I feel like Sedriques Dumas has a bit of potential to some extent. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion. I also don't think, what do you call him, Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to ever be a champion. But for some reason, and this is something that I've noticed a lot with MMA fans, is that they value too much who someone has faced in the past, and then they use that in order to make decisions. And some of the time, it actually works out. But for me personally, I don't look at fights in that particular way. I don't take it too much into consideration what the someone has done in the past, unless it's important to actually look at that particular thing. So it's the same thing with Colby Covington for me. A lot of people put a lot of weight into Colby Covington losing to Kamaru Usman, and they hyped him up. And Colby Covington's best wins are against old fighters, old legends, basically. So in this particular situation, I felt like people are giving Michal Oleksiejczuk a lot of credit for losing to good competition. Like, oh my God, he lost to Shara Magomedov. Oh, he lost to Kevin Holland. They're not necessarily talking about wins, like quality wins that he has. For sure, I will accept that the fight between him and what do you call him, Sharamagomedov was a little bit competitive as far as I can remember it. It was good. It was back and forth while it lasted. So maybe you can make the argument that, well, if Magomedov is as good of a striker as he is, it must mean that Michal Oleksiejczuk is also a good striker, which might be a solid point. However, Leron Murphy went to a decision with Josh Emmett. Ilya Tuporia went to a decision with Josh Emmett. Does that mean Leron Murphy is Ilya Tuporia? I mean, for me, I don't like to make those kind of comparisons. So for me personally, I'm going to look at who gets hit a little bit more, how I think the fight is going to play out. So, for example, let's start with the grappling exchanges because I think that's going to be the difference maker in this particular fight. I think Sedriques Dumas is a little bit better as far as offensive grappling. I think Sedriques Dumas attempts a little bit more grappling, attempts a little bit more submissions. I think he might try to take the fight to the ground. And it's not like Michal Oleksiejczuk is the most incredibly good grappler. He has some level of grappling, but if he couldn't use that against Sharamagomedov, someone who Bruno Silva was able to take down multiple times in his debut, was it in his debut? I think it was in his debut. And of course, I know that Sharamagomedov actually improved. But if Michal Oleksiejczuk was that good at taking people down, he would have done that to Sharamagomedov, and he wasn't able to do that. He lost to Kevin Holland, right? Kevin Holland is one of the easiest people to take down. So for me personally, especially when you consider that he is a good and a decent striker, what I'm saying right now, I'm not. Please do not misunderstand me. I'm not saying Sedriques Dumas is better. No. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I feel like a lot of people are counting out Sedriques Dumas because he hasn't afforded the right names. He hasn't. Obviously, I understand that he hasn't had the best performances in the past, but I think he's a pretty decent fighter in the UFC. I wouldn't call him a can. I wouldn't call him a scrub. Um, no way you bet on Dennis Tululi. No, I didn't. I'll actually respond to the comments once I'm done breaking down the fight because I feel like there's a lot of things that I have to say about this particular fight. So when we talk about takedowns, I think Sedriques Dumas attempts a lot more takedowns. Um, but obviously, I can see the fact that maybe Michal Oleksiejczuk has a little bit more success with takedowns as opposed to Sedriques Dumas. But obviously, when you try taking the fight to the ground multiple times, obviously your success rate won't be as high as someone who doesn't. Hi everyone, I'll respond to everyone once I'm done. So if you try too many takedowns, obviously you're not going to have as much success as someone who doesn't attempt takedowns as much, right? So as far as submission ability, who's probably going to get the submission on the ground? I think it's going to be Sedriques Dumas, right? Am I wrong, or did Kevin Holland submit Michal Oleksiejczuk? I can't. Please, someone check for me. I don't want to move around. Topology, the screen, but again, the computer just I don't know does its own thing whenever I. He did in one round. Yeah, that's one of the things that. Thank you, Twizzy. That's one of my arguments. I mean, if Kevin Holland was able to submit Michal Oleksiejczuk, for me personally, I'm like. Do I think Sedriques Dumas can do it? Yeah. Sedriques Dumas is a much better grappler than Kevin Holland is, right? And even if he doesn't submit him, I can see a situation where Sedriques Dumas finds a way to actually control him on the ground and win a boring decision. However, for me personally, I can't trust someone who's been losing. It's the same. I feel like it's the same thing that was done with Kobe Covington, man. And for me personally, I've been saying since the beginning of my channel. If you watch up the video section of the channel, one of the first videos I made was how Kobe Covington was afraid of Hamza Chimaev. Back when Kobe Covington was being seen as this incredibly talented guy, not now when everyone hates him. I was saying this a couple of years ago at the beginning of my channel. Didn't get that many views, but that's the point I'm trying to make is I've been saying Kobe Covington is horrible, and a lot of people gave him too much credit from losing to the right people. Like, oh, he lost to that guy. He lost to that guy. He went to a competitive decision with this guy. He did this with this. So as a result, so if he went to a competitive decision with the pound for pound number one, it must mean he's good. He's not. It's a good stylistic matchup. Right, so for me, I had a problem with that, and I feel like a lot of people are doing the same thing with Michal Oleksiejczuk. I might be wrong. Like what I'm saying, what the point I'm trying to make, I'm not saying Sedriques Dumas is going to run through Michal Oleksiejczuk. Do not misunderstand me. Do not misunderstand me. The point that I'm trying to make is that what do you call him? Sedriques Dumas has an equal amount of shot at winning this fight as Michal Oleksiejczuk, especially now considering the fact that Kevin Holland actually submitted this guy. That's a bad look, man. That's honestly a bad look, and we know that the Sedriques Dumas likes to take the fight to the ground. I wouldn't expect anything else from him in this particular situation because obviously he should know that Michal Oleksiejczuk is a pretty decent striker. It would be Sedriques Dumas to come into the fight and try to strike with this guy. Obviously, he's going to have to in order to create openings for the grappling exchanges. And I feel like what do you call him? Even on the feed, I feel like what do you call him? Sedriques Dumas is good defensively. He avoids getting hit a lot. So even though he doesn't throw a lot on the feed, I think that's mainly because he normally mixes up everything, and that's how he normally wins fights. And I've heard from someone on the comment section. I don't know how reliable that is, but apparently he recognizes how difficult this fight is going to be, and he's been working really hard to actually improve. So I'm hoping that that information actually accurate. But even without that information, just looking at his previous performances, combined with the fact that Michal Oleksiejczuk was submitted by Kevin freaking Holland. I mean, if Kevin Holland submits you at middleweight, Kevin Holland has lost to anyone who knows how to grapple at middleweight. So if you're losing to Kevin Holland at middleweight via submission, I mean that's a bad look. So I think Sedriques Dumas can find a way to get it done. I could be wrong. My subscribers are going with Michal Oleksiejczuk. I decided to go with Sedriques Dumas. I feel like he has ways to actually win this fight. Not very confident, but I am not going to go with the guy who was submitted by Kevin Holland. Let me respond to your comments and then move on to the next fight that I have to predict. Let me see. Twizy Rich, I want to take Dumas because he has zero grappling, but because he has zero grappling, but he did drop Holland. Oh, I think you mean Oleksiejczuk, right? But he did drop Holland in minutes, unless that was a slip. Pina Rifler, Dumas looks awful on the feet and was absolutely clueless in the wrestling in his last fight against the Can. No way I can pick him to win. Okay, I can respect that, my guy. Twizy Rich, I obviously meant to put Mitchell. Oh my God, what a Michael Vasey, I will never, and I repeat, I will never put my money on Dumas to ever win a fist fight. Okay, I can respect that, man. No way you bet you bet on Tululuin, LOL. I mean, who knows? Maybe. Naidu, hi bro, how are you? Welcome to the stream. Twizy Rich, he did it in one round. Twizy Rich made him look like Chimaev. That's why both guys are hard to trust. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying that Dumas is going to excel or dominate. I'm just saying it's not like Oleksiejczuk is any better. He might be a decent striker, but he has horrible grappling if you are being submitted by Kevin Holland. Um, And I know people are going to use Michael Chiesa and who's the other guy? I forgot, but that's at welterweight. Well, Kevin Holland does a little bit better at welterweight than he does at middleweight. He dropped Holland, Michael Vesey, he dropped Holland. He was only put in that position because he actually dropped Holland. Even if that's the case, man, you can't defend a submission from Kevin Holland. That's not a good look. It's Michal, not Holland. It's Michal, not what a casual. I hear you, but I will still bet the house on Oleksiejczuk, man. But Dumas is just so bad. Sorry, that's why. That's okay, man. You don't even have to apologize for that. One of the things that's why I have subscribers picks. The subscribers went with Michal Oleksiejczuk, and I respect that. I don't expect anyone to agree with me. That's the purpose of the subscribers pick, in order to make sure that you don't have to listen to what I say. You can always listen to what the subscribers are saying, especially because, as I'm telling the numbers, they are pretty good at predicting fights. So I'm not gonna say I'm right or wrong. At this, especially at this point where I'm busy testing out different strategies. But I think this coming Saturday, or rather the predictions for the next card, I'm going to make sure that I implement the old prediction strategy from last year, and then mix it up with the one that I'm using right now, because this one is really good, but it's inconsistent. One week it gives me 11 out of 12, the other trash numbers. Like, it keeps on being inconsistent. So I want to see if I can blend them together and see if maybe the results won't be a little bit more evened out. Yeah, so let me respond to these and go to the next stream. I agree with most of your picks, but I think Michel, Diego, and Dominic are going to win. Okay, I respect that. I'm honor. Is it honor? Yes. I'm honor. I can respect that. I'm not even going to disagree with that. That's why I said I'm not saying that Dumas is going to dominate this fight. I'm not even saying I'm confident in Dumas. I just feel like both of them are equally terrible, and Michal Oleksiejczuk is being elevated off of losses, aka Colby Covington. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm going to give it a fair shake. You don't have to agree with me, and I can respect that. That's cool. Twizy Rich, I'm mostly worried because he's been a fighting nerd. I'm mostly worried because he's been at the fighting nerds, but I don't know how good it is if they're not training there a while. Ramos did the same thing. Who's training at the fighting nerds? Michal Oleksiejczuk is training at the fighting nerds. Twizy Rich, I want to leave and go to the next stream. Can you please answer that? Who's training at the fighting nerds? Because that would worry me. I'm not gonna lie. If it's Mitchell, oh snap. Okay. Yeah, now I'm a little bit more worried now. I'm a little bit more worried. Okay, guys. Tweezy says you can research this for yourself. I don't even know this. This is new information to me. According to Tweezy, Michal Oleksiejczuk is training at the Fighting Nerds. Ricardo Ramos did too. But Ricardo Ramos has been inconsistent. Um, Anyway, let me go to the next fight for today, or rather the last fight for today. I'll be left with two more fights to break down, which I'll be doing tomorrow. So now I'm going to the next fight. I think it's Ricardo Ramos versus Trajan Gore, another controversial pick that I made. I mean, the strategy better work otherwise. No, Trajan Gore versus Marco Tullio. No, I made a mistake there. Yeah, I think that's the fight I'm breaking down. Anyway, you'll see it on the stream. It's fine. Let's go to the next stream. I love and appreciate all of you. Deuces. Ricardo Ramos versus Gore.